Okay, so we're going to put together this simple shape animation of Pacman, and we're just going to use two layers to do it. We're going to have the Pacman layer, and then we're going to have a separate dots layer. Now, the way we're going to approach it is to create a flat yellow version of him, and then we'll play around with strokes and fills and things like that, and masks to get him with this nice kind of outline glow effect, making his way across, eating all the little dots. Okay, so we will create a new composition, call this Pacman 2, give it a black background, click OK. Now, I'm going to start off, let's check the sequence settings there. Okay, it's a little bit small, not that it really matters, but should try and keep things HD if you know you're going to be working in HD. Okay. Alright, so there's a few ways that I can create a shape. I can start clicking and drawing, and if I have no layer available or no layer selected, it will just create a shape for me. If I want to be a little bit more precise and I want to get a perfect circle, I can also go New, Shape Layer, open it up, and where I see the contents I can add an ellipse. So this gives me an empty ellipse, and I can then go and change, give it a fill and a stroke. So I give it a fill, which I can open up and make it yellow. Okay, so it's got a pure red value here. I'll just add in maximum green, and red and green give me yellow. Okay, so next thing I could do here is just pull up the ellipse's size property and make it a bit bigger. I can always scale it down afterwards if I need to. Okay, so I'm going to rename the ellipse to body. So in my shape layer, which we call Pacman 2, I have a content section, and that now contains a primitive parametric shape, which is an ellipse now called body. Underneath that I've got fill, and that fill will be applied to however many objects or shapes I create and place in the contents above the fill value there. Okay, so this gives me my first part of the Pacman shape. Now the second part that I'm going to work with is the mouth. Now the mouth is going to be done in such a way that I can open and close it, and the way I'm going to approach that is to use basic triangle shape with one of its points pretty much centered inside in Pacman there. Now you'll see that because I've created a shape, it just pops it out here in the top, and that is now taking the fill there. So I'll just select that first of all and call it mouth. Now the next thing I'm going to do is just drag that under body, and I'm going to merge the two of these in such a way that the mouth is going to be able to subtract from the body shape. So I go back up to Contents, Add, Merge Paths, and by default we don't really see anything. It has actually merged them together as one kind of unified path, but because they were both yellow and one was laid on top of the other, you wouldn't notice it. But if I go down to Merge Paths and select the mode, I can change that to Subtract. Because I use the pen tool to create this shape, it is what's called a Bezier path, which allows me to modify these points if I want to, or I can just go up to the mouth, and where I see the transform properties, I can go down to the scale. Now this is handy because if I do a scale only on height, for example, it will scale it down around its center, which should give me the look of the mouth opening and closing. Okay, so I'll go a little bit bigger for the opening stage, keyframe it again so that I can go into between these two and give that a value of 0, and just hit tab to apply it, and now I've got a closing and opening. So because I end on the opening, I want to copy that second 2, so that it will go start with open, then close, then open, and then close, then open, then close, then open, and so on. So I'm just copying and pasting a little bit down the timeline. Okay. Okay, so I've got my mouth opening and closing, albeit very, very slowly. So I'll select those and pull those back. Okay, that'll do for now. All right, so the next thing I want to do is add an eye, and I want to use the same process here. I want to subtract it from the yellow body. So I'm going to go back up to Contents, add another ellipse, and you'll see that it has popped it in there. Okay, so I'm just going to open that up and pull that over and up, and I'll scale it down. Back over a bit. Okay, so my ellipse and my mouth are now merged through a subtract merge with the body. Okay, and this then allows me to keep it as it is if I wish, or it now allows me to add something like a stroke. And if I want, I can switch off the fill just to see what my stroke looks like. I can give it a stroke width. I can play around with how the ends of each stroke behave. So I can have round join, round cap, if I had any ends. And now I have the Pacman mouth opening and closing. And I can change that. I'll just change that color now to a kind of a yellow. And finish off the effect with the glow effect. So the glow effect allows me to bump up this kind of halo of light around Pacman. Okay. Right, so just to finish this up, I'm going to first of all just do a simple position keyframe on my Pacman. So I'll slide him off, keyframe him, and make sure I get all of, yeah, okay, so he's still opening and closing his mouth there, so I'll just pop him across the screen there. That'll do. And the next thing I'm going to do is create another shape layer with some dots. So I'll get another ellipse. And I'm going to fill this one yellow. Take down the size of that a little bit and give that one a glow. Okay, let's try that again. There we go. Just so that they match. Okay, now I'm going to place this one over here on the left, and I'm going to use what's called a repeater, which is a handy way of creating more dots with shape layers, so I can get that more copies. I'm going to take down the size of the dot a little bit as well, so a little bit more space. Okay, so you'll see he starts over here and he kind of munches his way over to the right. So to do this, I'm going to keep it, again, pretty simple. I'm going to place a rectangular, oops, drew a shape. Okay, so select that, and up here, I'll select Tool Creates Mask. Draw and add mask around that, and all I'm going to do is just rotoscope the dots so that when he starts, the mask will be over there. When he ends, the mask will be over here. So I'll just do a mask shape, hit M to bring up my masks, put a keyframe there, and then put another one here, and that should. Another thing I'll need to do is put Pacman on top and give it a black fill. So it'll hide those dots as it makes its way across. Okay, that's better. And there we have our Pacman.